I would ask, someone to raise their hand if they don't know who Roy Black is and ask you to maybe go downstairs and take a walk. We're very fortunate to have Roy. I met Roy the day I passed the bar. He doesn't know that, but I was walking in Coconut Grove, and he was in a record store. I hadn't received the news yet. That's why Roy's kind of my good luck charm. I saw him in a record store, and I turned, and there's Roy Black. And this was, 15 years ago. And he looked at me and he goes, "Do you like Nina Simone?" And I thought, yeah, sure, I love Nina Simone. Let's talk about Nina Simone. So he was looking at Nina Simone. I went back, I talked to the Supreme Court, and they said, "You've passed the bar. Congratulations, you're a lawyer." So that was my first meeting with Roy Black. But when you talk about Roy Black, you talk about Rush Limbaugh getting PTI. You talk about Helio Castroneves getting acquitted in a 6-week tax trial. You talk about this book, Black's Law, that he wrote. You talk about Kelsey Grammer. You talk about some other very famous and not so famous people. You talk about the Today Show, Good Morning America, and his TV show that he had. I'm very honored that Roy has come to speak. I've probably been speaking too long introducing him for his own good. But without further ado, let me introduce one of the greatest trial lawyers in America, Roy Black.
Thank you. Well, I remember it well at the record store. I think I'm qualified to dispense some hard-earned wisdom today at this seminar because I have never done anything practical in my entire career. I revel in inefficiency. In fact, I hate myself for spending too much time on any project. In fact, it's impractical to be the best at anything. It takes a ridiculous amount of work. You have to care more than others think is wise. You have to risk more than others think is safe. You have to dream more than others think is practical. And you have to expect more than others think is possible. It is far easier to be mediocre, to do nothing. You are never criticized. In fact, nobody notices you at all. We weren't born to be mediocre, but our schools trained us to be mediocre, just to be a cog in a machine. And mediocre is just a failed attempt to be really good. In order to avoid the hell of mediocrity, I developed some rules for myself, some of which I will share with you today. Rules that I learned the hard way, perhaps the only way they can be learned, and rules that I forged as iron laws only so I could disobey them with great difficulty. With great achievement comes with a high price, a price most people are unwilling to pay. My first job out of law school, I was totally unqualified for. I was one of 10 assistant public defenders for Dade County. I was sworn in the first day, and on the second day, we started a murder trial. In those days, we did not have the luxury of training. After the trial, I took a second oath that I would relentlessly over-prepare for everything. And thus, I like to say that desperation has made me a good lawyer. It reminds me of a football coach who one time said, "If it doesn't hurt, you're not doing it right." Last year, I did a series of seminars called Law is a Performance Art. And I'm a believer of that. You will never be remembered for the quantity of your work. You will be remembered for the quality of your work. Picasso painted well over 1,000 paintings. You perhaps know the names of 3 of them. Nobody evaluates Picasso based on the number of paintings that he churned out. One brilliant performance can make a career. An unknown state senator from Illinois gave a 17-minute speech at the 2004 National Democratic Convention, and now he is the President of the United States. How many hours do you think that he worked on the words of that speech? One of my favorite examples is a singer no longer with us named Marvin Gaye. In 1983, he sang the national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game. He made it his own. It was brilliant, it was unique, it was memorable. Today it gets millions of hits on YouTube. If you have not watched this performance, I ask you to go home and take a look at it. A friend of mine, Vincent Bugliosi, no doubt Albert knows him as well, claims that he spent 100 hours for every final argument. Winston Churchill spent 1 hour for every minute of a speech that he gave. These are the models that we aspire to. I want to mention one performance in particular. Today I'm going to show you one video. A video that I show in every seminar I speak at. It is of a plaintiff's lawyer in New York called Tom Moore. And this is an argument that he gave at a civil trial called the Libby Zion trial. Libby was the daughter of Sidney Zion, who was a well-known writer. And she went to the emergency room, and according to the plaintiff, because of overly tired interns, she died. And this is a performance by Tom Moore that I think all of us can aspire to.
Into respiratory and cardiac arrest. She stopped breathing and her heart stopped. According to the record, 15 minutes after they took the temperature. But just then, just right there, ladies and gentlemen, Libby Zion could have been saved. Despite the plethora and litany of negligence and errors, if they had responded appropriately, if this sleep-deprived resident had allowed or been able to allow the information that she was getting to be properly assimilated and made and decisions be made on it. First of all, that patient needed to be immediately placed in ice. The most important thing, before you treat her slowing breathing, before you treat her slowing pulse rate, you have to bring that temperature down, or no matter what you do, Libby Zion will die.
That was his opening statement. Actually, that was his opening argument. And in my class at the law school, I flunk anybody who calls it an opening statement. Next, 2 words. Adolf Hitler. Yes, I know, that Hitler. No need to write any letters of complaint to FACDL. I was always fascinated by how Hitler could command an audience. If any of you have ever seen the Nuremberg rallies, you will see the ultimate entertainer, the ultimate persuader. I've always been fascinated on how he could capture attention. And what is our number one commodity as trial lawyers? Our number one principle is human attention. Hitler was a genius at it. He was always on stage. He studied everything for its effect. I read that he even designed his mustache for an effect. He was a terrific actor. He was theatrical. Every minute detail of his performance was choreographed in advance. During his speeches, he claimed to have lost 5 pounds and drank 20 bottles of water. It was not his words that captured people, but his presence. It also helped to have the Gestapo backing him up. Every time we go to court, it is a performance. We are the great explainers. We are the great communicators. We are the great even entertainers. We tell stories. We craft metaphors. We have thrilling lines. We polish our words like a jeweler polishes his stones. We are poetry, not prose. Every argument should begin and end with the performance. To leave a mark, to make it memorable, to give a startling call to arms. And we have to convey the emotion, one person at a time. When we speak, it is retail, not wholesale. You speak to one person at a time, up close and personal. And the end result, there is a lawyer in Connecticut called Jeremiah Donovan who gave a final argument in a federal trial representing some low-level mafia thug, and he gave a 2-hour final argument. That final argument was so impressive and such a performance that 6 law review articles were written about it. That is something to which we can aspire. And the difference between the best and the rest is small. I know it is impractical to go that extra bit, but the difference is very small. Last year I represented a race car driver, and I studied the results from the Indianapolis 500 for the past 10 years. The average margin of victory was 1.54 seconds. On average, the winner took home $1,278,813. Second place, $621,321. A difference of $657,000, $492 for 1.54 seconds. A beautiful, uncomplicated statistic that should feed our desire to take that extra mile to make that performance memorable. And a small thing could make a huge difference. If you just miss being a pro golfer, you are a caddy. If you just miss making the major leagues, you're in AAA ball. It's the difference between the obsessive Peyton Manning and the casual Ryan Leaf. There are hundreds of little things that go into being the best. There are tiny efforts that nobody sees or cares about, but it is the difference between falling just short of the goal and being a star. Or as that famous Wall Street philosopher Gordon Gekko said, lunch is for wimps and money never sleeps, and I think neither should we. There is a popular phrase in South Korea called "sei jeonnagi." I know you all know what that means, but I will tell you. It means knock down 4 times and rise up 5. This expression came from a 1977 World Championship boxing match where a South Korean boxer named Hang Soo-won knocked out the world champion Hector Carrasquillo. The best example of this, and of course the reason I know about it, is last summer there was an article in the New York Times about another resident of South Korea, a grandmother, 69 years old, called Cha Sa-soon, who became a national heroine because she passed her driver's license test on her 960th time. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than talented people who are unsuccessful. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a cliche. Education is not. As you know, the world is full of educated nitwits. Persistence and determination alone are paramount. In this business, you must be able to withstand and sustain yourself against staggering blows. You must be able to use every cell of your will, every iota of brain power, every nanosecond of highly focused consciousness. You have to wear blinders and have single-minded determination. A man went up to Vladimir Horowitz, the famous pianist, after a concert at Carnegie Hall, and said, "I would give up half my life to play the piano like that." And Horowitz said, "I did." Robert Louis Stevenson wrote, "Everybody lives by selling something." This is the ultimate insult to most lawyers. Nobody wants to be told, "You're not a real lawyer, you're just a salesman." Nobody wants to hear a sentence of law and sales in the same sentence. Judges and juries don't want to be sold, and we don't want to be think about selling them. Guess what? Get over it. We are not only salesmen, we are traveling salesmen. We sell legal services to clients. We sell ideas and arguments to judges and juries, all wrapped up with as much passion as we can. But we are selling our arguments. We are creating infomercials. We package our ideas, just like a salesman. We tout the great benefits of what we are claiming. And not only that, we have the same image problem as salesmen, unless you haven't noticed that. We arouse negative emotions in people, emotions that we have to overcome. But one thing I have noticed over the years, both in law school and the seminars we go to, I've never once been to a legal course or seminar where they talk about sales. I have a piece of advice. Take all those trial advocacy books you have in your office and your home and throw them out. Well, you could keep some of the pretty ones and keep them on your shelf. My recommendation to you is buy business books. Buy books about selling and marketing, the psychology of selling and marketing. You buy the books that tell you about how to give presentations, how to persuade people, how to sell. I can assure you there's far more useful information in those books than all the trial advocacy books you have read in your entire career. And they will teach you a great lesson. And that is, you cannot sell anybody by boring them. Yi Shiping. I know you know that name. There's one phrase I hate more than any other, and that is, "It's not my job." That's a practical answer, not to take on things that are not your job. But it is the words of losers and deadbeats and people you don't want to associate with. My hero is Xi Jinping. He is the principal of a middle school in Xiwan, China. On May 12, 2008, a huge earthquake hit his province. Some 5,000 schools collapsed, killing over 7,000 children. 10 years earlier, Xi Jinping was concerned about the shoddy construction of his school. He spent $58,000 of his own money to put in new columns, new railings, and to take out drain pipes that had rotted. $58,000 of his own money from a middle school principal in China. After the earthquake, all 2,323 of his students survived. At some point, sooner or later, we all have to take responsibility, no matter what the cost. Either that or be consigned to be mediocre. You should manage your career like a business. You should be the CEO of your career. You are a personal business, apart and distinct from your job. This is not a team sport. You are selling your skills. You need to make a commitment to yourself, to develop your own business. Because if you were an entrepreneur and you had a business to run, you would do whatever was necessary to upgrade your business, to promote your business, to associate your business with the best. You are your own product that you are selling. You should work on your product as aggressively as any tech firm or Cirque du Soleil or any business like that. You've all probably heard the expression ROI, return on investment. It is used in business, in finance, and what kind of profit are people going to make from their investment? You will never get a greater return than investing in yourself and your career. I have a question. And this is a question you should all ask yourselves, because I'm not going to embarrass anybody by asking them here this afternoon. Have you invested as much in your career this year as you did your car? Did you spend more time on your skills than you did on your golf game? You should be working harder on yourself than your job. Never wish it was easier. Always wish that you were better. Never wish for less problems. Only wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. I promise you, 1 year from today, you will be upset that you didn't start today. Don't make excuses. Don't do less than your best. Always be said of you that you did the best with what you had. That you used the full expansion of your soul, your heart, and your reach. That what you did was not just acceptable, but it was memorable. That you did so well that others will measure your stride to see if they can match up. Let it be said that you developed a gift, that you reached the zenith of your potential. At the end, be able to say, I fought the good fight. I fought for what was right. I fought to protect what was important. I use these great skills that I have developed to help people. People who turn to you in their most desperate moments. Moments when their fortune is at risk. Moments when their family is at risk. Moments when they're in the danger of losing their children. Moments when they're in the danger of losing their freedom. Or even that moment when they're in the danger of losing their very lives. The last thing I want to say is that each of you should aspire to become the success by which, each of you should aspire to become the measure by which success is determined. Thank you.